Reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 13, Text 11. Kvachitcha sita tapavata varsha pratikriyam kartum anisa aste vachinmito vipannanya kinchit vidvesham richati utta vitta satya. Kvachit, sometimes. Cha, also. Sita, atapa, vata, varsha. Of freezing cold, scorching heat, strong wind, and excessive rainfall. Pratikriyam, counteraction. Kartum, to do. Anisaha, being unable. Aste, remains in misery. Kvachit, sometimes. Mitaha, one another. Vipannan, selling. Yacha, whatever. Kinchit, a little bit. Vidvesham, mutual enmity. Richati, obtain. Uta, it is so said. Vita satyat, because of cheating one another merely for money. Translation and purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Translation: sometimes the living entity is busy counteracting the natural disturbances of freezing cold, scorching heat, strong wind, excessive rainfall, and so forth. When he is unable to do so, he becomes very unhappy. Sometimes he is cheated in business transactions one after another. In this way, by cheating, living entities create enmity among themselves. Please respond. Sometimes a living entity is busy counteracting the natural disturbances of freezing cold, scorching heat, strong wind, excessive rainfall, and so forth. When he is unable to do so, he becomes very unhappy. Sometimes he is cheated in business transactions one after another. In this way, by cheating, the living entities create enmity among themselves. This is an example of the struggle for existence, the attempt to counteract the onslaught of material nature. This creates enmity in society, and consequently society is filled with envious people. One person is envious of another, and this is the way of the material world. The Krishna consciousness movement aims at creating an atmosphere of non-envy. Of course, it is not possible for everyone to become Krishna conscious, but the Krishna conscious movement can create an exemplary society wherein there is no envy. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Gadamahyam Gadadishta Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutabadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganargunatam Sajivam Sharvaitam Shavadutam Parijana Shaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Mita Parishwari Rishabhanushita Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakarpatarubhyascha Vipasindhubevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarihe Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaurabhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Sometimes the living entity is busy counteracting the natural disturbances of the freezing cold, scorching heat, strong wind, excessive rainfall, and so forth. When he is unable to do so, he becomes very unhappy. Sometimes he is cheated in business transactions one after another. In this way, by cheating, living entities create enmity among themselves. So you can see today's topic is basically about living entities being disturbed. As we know, living entities are always disturbed by three things. What are the three things? Adi Atmic, Adi Bhautik, and Adi Devik. So Adi Atmic is disturbances from one's own mind. Adi Devik is disturbances from Devatas. And Adi Bhautik is disturbances from Adi. So in this way, the living entity is constantly being disturbed and not peaceful. So in today's verse, you can see specifically also importance is given to Adi Devik, means too much heat, too much cold, too much rain. Just like I think recently there was a heat wave. Whole world experienced a heat wave. Yes, never experienced this much heat. I think so. I think how long was it? Maybe 50, 60 years, or in the history maybe. Not sure. So anyway, this heat was so unbearable. People started to die. Yes, even being too cold, especially in the Western countries. I think we experienced it when we went to New Zealand for a small fishing tour. It was freezing cold, but for them it was summer. For us, when we went, it was so cold. So you can see how anywhere you go, although you can see that from the people post, oh, this is such a nice place, Switzerland, New Zealand, etc., etc. When you go there, it's actually not very comfortable, to be honest. Suffering. There was no sunlight, it was raining, it was cold, it was windy, and it's not an ideal place to live. And also very difficult to practice Krishna consciousness in the sense that because it's so cold, they have to sleep with so thick blanket, practically a mattress you have to put on top of yourself. And when you sleep so comfortably in this warm blanket and outside it's cold, it's very difficult to wake up early in the morning. Yes, very difficult. So, and to wake up and to take cold shower, you'll be thinking many times. So it's very difficult, especially in those countries. And also, that is the cold side. And then the hot side, even in India, I was there during the peak of summer. It was so hot. I was in Delhi, and the wind is blowing hot air. It's like you're opening the oven, and it's constantly blowing on you. And then, yeah, they have, as you can see, living entities like, for example, too hot, too cold, they have the heater. Yes. Too hot, they have air condition, they have here they have this cooler, air cooler. So, but then power cut. But then you get power cut. So although you want to alleviate these disturbances, always you'll be in some sort of difficulty. Yes, you cannot escape because this material world is meant for you to get disturbed. We have, or we are trying many ways not to be disturbed. Huh? Not detected. No, not coming. No, the speaker, that one. But mic should come in. No, not come. It's taking your MacBook.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Let's say close that and do Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Still coming.
What's the name of this?
This one external microphone, which is coming in speaker already.
Something to on here.
Nothing. No. MacBook Pro. See? Okay.
So disturbances are always there. We as living entities are always trying to alleviate our suffering. Suffering is the motto of this material world. Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravajino Arjuna. Apart from this Adi Devik, Adi Atmik, Adi Kautik, we are also suffering birth, old age, disease. There is so many things we can name for suffering. How many things we can name for happiness? Tell me. Nothing much actually. So you can see here. Being unable to protect himself from the threefold miseries of material existence, the conditioned soul becomes very morose and lives a life of lamentation. These threefold miseries are miseries suffered by mental calamity at the hands of demigods such as freezing wind and scorching heat, miseries offered by other living entities, and miseries arising from the mind and body themselves. You can see this. The so-called happy materialistic person is constantly having to endure the threefold miseries of life called Adi Devika, Adi Yatmika, and Adi Bhautika. Actually, no one can counteract these threefold miseries. All three may assail one at one time, or one misery may be absent and the other present. Thus, the living entity is full of anxiety, fearing misery from one side or another. The conditioned soul must be disturbed by at least one of these three miseries. There is no escape. Yes? So, maybe if you get all three at one time, we call it Sanikala, a bad period. But misery is your thing which every one of us has to endure. And you can see in our own lives practically, always something comes up. There is a bout of happiness, and then there's a bigger bout of. Then again, it says compared to dunking of the person's head under the water. Yes, when you dunk the person's head under the water, he's suffering, trying to breathe. Then, just when you are about to give up, your head is taken out, and that short time of where you can
breathe again, that relief, that is your happiness. Then once you get that, you again dunked again. So like this, our lives are revolving. Whole life, this is what is happening. Cannot escape. Only until you take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Once you become devotee, it's not that you don't get disturbed. You still get disturbed. But you are not affected by this disturbances. Yes, that's why in Bhagavad Gita, what's that verse? In happiness or distress, one remains calm. Chapter 2. Matra sparsastu kaunteya sitoshna sukadukada akamapayino nityas tam titikshva bharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress are, and their disappearance in due course are like appearance and disappearance of winter in some season. They arise from sense perception or sign of bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. That's why even in our Shikshashtaka, Pranadapi Sunechena, Tororapi Sarisuna, Malina Manadena, Kirtaneya Sudhari. Tolerate. Otherwise, we are just being same like the karmis. Yes, being humble and to tolerate this. That is the sign of advancement in Krishna. Just like Srila Prabhupada also, how much he had to do austerity, staying in a Radha Damodar temple. For how long? For 12 years? 12 to 14 years. Before going to America, he was staying there 12 years. Yeah. So you can see how much austerity and perseverance Srila Prabhupada had to go through before even starting this Krishna consciousness. He used to go at that time to Delhi to go and distribute the magazine. And at that age, there was one day the bull hit him. Right? Still, despite all this, he went to preach Krishna consciousness. And even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also, before starting Gaudiya Math, he was staying in a hut without a roof, with holes in the roof, with the umbrella, and chanting, you know how many rounds? 192 rounds for 1 year. Until the Panchatattva himself came and told him, you can start. So, you can see how Acharyas, they set example of how not to be, actually easily Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur can repair the roof and chant comfortably. Yes, but he put Krishna consciousness as more important than all these bodily necessities, you can say. I think Acharyas, they set very high standards for us to learn from, that material nature is something not for us to be taking lightly. Maya is very strong. Yes, the moment you turn yourself away from Krishna, Maya jumps at you very fast. And you cannot escape. That's the job of Maya, because her duty, that's why she has a Trishur. This Trishur actually represents Adi Admi, Adi Bhautik, and Adi Devi. This is the meaning of the Trishur. Why 3? This is the reference. So her job as being Mahamaya is to poke the living entity with this Trishur. Always, because her job is to make sure you are qualified enough to go to Krishna. Yes, she wants the best and qualified person to go back to Krishna. She doesn't want some person who is half-baked to go to Krishna. Because to go to Krishna is not easy. Yes. Because once you go to Krishna, then everything is solved. There's no problem. Just like the Pandavas You can see, once they had Krishna, there was no basically problems. And in fact, there were problems, but they overcame their problems. Very famous verse by Kunti Devi. Yes, she actually wanted more disturbance. Why? Why? Because if you notice in our lives, only during disturbance time will become more serious in Krishna. Agree? In only the times of distress, we become more serious in our practice of not only Krishna conscious, or we become more spiritually inclined. Whenever you have problem, or you go to the temple, or you go and seek some kind of refuge, solace to your problems, or please help me in this. That's why there's 4 types of people. One of the 4 is one who is in distress. Chaturvida, Buddha Bhava. So you can see these 4 types of people. This one who is in distress, because everybody is in distress. You have your own set of problems. Everybody has their individual set of problems. And to alleviate this, some people go and seek shelter in Krishna. And if you seek shelter in Krishna, then automatically these problems will be easy for you to overcome. Not that Krishna will remove your problems. Problems will still come, but you will be able to overcome these problems easily. Just like you can see that, as I said, the Panda story. From start to end, poison, food for Bhima, then went to the forest, disrobing of the wife of the assembly, went to the forest, came back fighting in the war, killing each other. And then after they came back, again, after killing everybody, after winning the war, also distressed. Oh, now everybody I killed, how much sin I have done. Then go and speak to Krishna Dev. Like this, then Krishna left. Jai Shri Shri Radha. So the whole point is for us to be Krishna conscious. That's the whole point. Because once we have Krishna, then easily we can overcome this. You can see here. So why we approach Krishna? Seek shelter from relief. Because someone who is not disturbed by the material energy can only relieve you from it. The Lord, He is not disturbed by material energy. Like for example, when the Lord comes to do His pastimes, everything is perfect. Because He is a Supreme Lord. Material nature does not affect the Supreme Lord. Devi Esha Gunamai Amamaya. My dear Lord, you have manifold energies, and these energies are manifested in manifold forms. With such energies, you have also created this cosmic manifestation, and although you maintain it as if it were permanent, you ultimately annihilate it. Although you are never disturbed by such changes and alterations, the living entities are disturbed by them, and therefore they find the cosmic manifestation to be different and separated. My Lord, you are always independent, and I can clearly see this fact. You can see here. Due to the conditions, however, some living entities are conditioned in this material world, and thus they think themselves separated from the Supreme Lord. Due to their contact with material energy, their existence is always troublesome. Being always in distress, the conditioned soul considers material energy to be very much disturbing. This fact is explained by Vaishnava Kavi or poet. Krishna Buliya se jiva anandi bhai mukha ataiva maya tare dheya samsara dukkha.
When the living entity forgets the Supreme Lord and wants to enjoy himself independently imitating the Supreme Lord, he is captured by the false notion that he is the enjoyer and is separated from the Supreme Lord. This material energy is therefore very much troublesome to the spiritual energy. Let's see this translation. Forgetting Krishna, the living entity has been attracted by the external feature from time immemorial. Therefore, the illusory energy Maya gives him all kinds of misery and circumstances. So you can see how Maya is always giving difficulty. That's the job. We can't complain about it. But once we become devotees of the Lord, then we come under a different Maya. What Maya do we come under? Yoga Maya. That is the spiritual potency or spiritual Maya of the Lord, which is represented by Subhadra. Subhadra Devi is the representation of Yoga Maya. So under the shelter of Yoga Maya, then we can perform our devotional service without fear. Because always we are fearing as devotees. Also, we have to be very careful how we must act and how we must do things favorable in Krishna consciousness. I think in the nectar of instruction, there are things which are favorable in execution and six things which are unfavorable. Yes? Utsaha, Nischaya, Dharya, Tat Karma, Vartanat. I think we should cover that. How you do F2 here? So these are the six things which one's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following the six activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required, over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. 4. Practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement. Or rejecting the rules and regulations of scriptures and working independently or whimsically. 5. Associating with worldly-minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And 6. Being greedy for mundane achievements. These are the 6 unfavorable items. Utsaha Nishchaya Dharya Tat Karma Pravartanat Sangatyagat Sato Vritte Sadbhir Bhakti Prasiddhati. There are 6 principles favorable to execution of pure devotional service. 1. Being enthusiastic. 2. Endeavoring with confidence. 3. Being patient. 4. Acting according to regulatory principles such as Sravana Kirtanam Vishnu Smanam. Srimad Bhagavatam 5, 7, 5, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. 5. Abandoning the association of non-devotees. And 6. Following the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of your service. So, by doing so and doing everything for Krishna, I think yesterday's class also, Mahāprabhu mentioned that acting in a way where you are doing whatever Krishna wants. Any activity you do it for Krishna. It's like yesterday we heard how Grihasthas ashram is very detrimental and challenging. But if Krishna consciousness is added and you do it for Krishna, then you can see
You can see our whole movement, the name, Srila Prabhupada called it International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So once we change our consciousness, then that's the whole purpose of our duty in this material world, is to become Krishna conscious. That's why many a times Srila Prabhupada quoted Manmana Bhavana Bhakta Matyaji Mam. Although it may sound very easy just by chanting and remembering Krishna, you can go back. Janma Karma Chamya, by knowing the Lord's pastimes. Yeah, all of us may know, we know Putana's story, we know killing of Kamsa, etc. from Krishna. But are we really relishing those stories, or just goes in and then comes out? Right? You can see how even yesterday we were discussing the story of Ramanujacharya. Ramanujacharya was explaining the potency of prasadam to his disciples. And he took some prasadam, and every temple has a pond. He threw prasadam in the pond. The fishes, they ate the prasadam, and immediately by eating Krishna prasad, they developed 400 form and were going back to God. Yes? But then the devotees or disciples of Ramanuja, we are eating so much prasadam every day. Why isn't the same thing happening? Why? So you need that faith. Unknowingly doing and getting the result, and practicing but not having that. That's why the Prabhupada also said within 1 second you can go back to God. Within 1 second, just by chanting one time Hare Krishna, you must have that. No, just unknowingly, like for example, he unknowingly chanted his Sanskrit. He was the biggest sinner. Offenseless chanting is also important. Yes. So practicing even the story of the mouse. He went to eat the ghee in the temple. The whiskers or the fur got on fire. Then he started turning his head. Then he died. So that process of turning his head and offering that lamp, although he was like, he himself became a lamp. He got the benefit. So unknowingly chanting also reaps the result. But so you can see how more fallen we are. Despite knowing all this, still we are unable to get the result. But our saving grace is only by the mercy of spiritual master. Actually, to go to Krishna is almost impossible. Yes, if you look at it in the whole creation, who are we? We are nobody. Yes. Why would Krishna look at you or look at us? We are insignificant. This whole creation, this one universe is like a mustard seed in a bag of mustard seeds. Yes. And in this one universe, there is 14 planetary systems. Each planetary system has their own living entities. So many. And in our planetary system, we have so many planets. Yes. So many planets. We are in one planet called Earth. And in this one Earth, so many countries. How many? What is the population now? 9 billion. 8, let's say 8 billion. Out of these 8 billion people, in so many countries, we are one person. So who are nothing. And yet, this is how false ego works. Yet we still think that we are very big. Yes, I am the Lord and Master. So this is how material nature is. Gives you that sense of pride, right? That's why it is important for us when we come to Krishna consciousness, we remove all designation. Sarvopadi Vidyatmuktam Tat Paratvena Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevana Bhakti. So when we come and surrender to Krishna, so these disturbances are mainly also from our mind. Our mind is also giving disturbance. Once we surrender our senses or surrender our mind to Krishna, that's why Krishna is called Rishikesh. Rishikesh means master of the senses or Govinda. So once we surrender unto Krishna, who is the master of the senses, with our mind, which is the chief of the senses, then automatically we become free from disturbance. So this is the whole idea, is to engage our senses solely for the purpose of Krishna's pleasure. Just like the gopis, countless examples are there. And I think yesterday also, he said even heavenly planet also there's so much fighting. Yeah? Enmity. Yes, today's class, the verse says this cheating is going on every day because this cheating is one of the four defects of the living entity. Yes, cheating propensity is one of the four defects of the living entity. So from Brahmaloka to all the way down, this thing is happening. Yesterday he gave some nice analogies and stories or history regarding that. So you can see once we become Krishna consciousness, then gradually all these things become solved. That's the whole point of practicing Krishna consciousness. Why we are doing all this? Isn't it troublesome for you? Why is it so much rules and regulations? You have to follow all principles. You have to 16 rounds. You have to come for morning program. You have to do preaching. You have to do Bhagavatam. You have to read. You have to, cannot eat outside. So many rules. Why? Why? Why do so? Why? If many people argue, God is everywhere. God is within us also. Why have to do so much to go to God? Why? It's not that we have to do so much. It's because we are so unqualified. Practicing all this helps us become qualified to see Krishna. Now we are unqualified. We are filthy, dirty. That's why Cheto Dharpana, cleaning the mirror. Krishna is within all of us. Yes, He's seated within everybody's heart. Yes, but why we cannot see? Why we cannot see? Because we have lust, anger, greed, envy, madness, illusion. All these dirty things, all these anarths, once they are cleared, then you can see. That's why we are practicing so rigidly these principles of devotional service. Not that we just speculated on these principles. These principles are given by Acharya. When we follow the words of Acharya, then easily you can progress in Krishna consciousness. So the whole process of Krishna consciousness is very scientific in the sense that you yourself can see your own progress, whether you are advancing or you're not advancing. Every day or every week or every month you should reflect whether how more can I progress. And you can test yourself. Yes, you have to test yourself. Otherwise there's no gauge. How will you gauge? Can't gauge yourself. You have to put yourself in those situations. Always do more. Then easily you always keep yourself in Krishna. Yes, that's why Srila Prabhupada advised all devotees to stay near the temple. It's easy. If you stay far, still Singapore considerably is a nearer place. Everything is relatively near compared to, for example, in India. If I was to go to the temple, it will take me like 2 hours to go. So just to go there, I have to think like 10 times because to travel and then again hot. So India is the place where you can experience the real meaning of disturbance. To be honest, yeah, India is the place where you can really see how disturbance really works from every aspect. From the moment you enter the airport to the transport system, to the food, the water, and everybody around you, family members, you can experience the true meaning of disturbance. Getting sick, yeah, Tapa Bhumi. But yeah, that way you can see how this material world is. Practice Krishna consciousness. So, any questions, comments, points to add to this class?
Suffering is also happiness and suffering is also like eating like the soul is suffering for us, but the guy who is selling the winter clothes for him is happiness. It's happiness.
Because he gets sales.
So the suffering and happiness is available. Somebody is for that, somebody is for that.
Just like the doctor, you are sick, you go to the doctor, he is making money.
So you pay what we done.
No, that's why this was the cheating propensity. Exactly as you said, cheating propensity. Just like these big pharmaceutical companies. Right. So you can see how they are making us sick by all this unhealthy food stuff, GMO food, right? Even if the cure is there, they will stop that cure to make you unhealthy so that you become sick and you buy their medicine. So it's a whole cheating game. Yes, they want you. It's not that they want you to be healthy, believe. Although they advertise like that, but it's like double speaking. Say one thing and doing another. Yeah. So even that brand, MDH, they put sawdust inside the masala. So you can see this is one person's distress is another's. Even
Universal as the doctor is doctor died. So this is all universal.
true. Yeah. We are just giving context of our situation here.
The same thing is different. You are everything, but here is the big motive.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Brahmaloka is less comparative to us. As you go higher and higher, the level of suffering is reduced in the sense that the effect of these three modes or this Adi Devika is reduced. Brahmaloka, they may experience less compared to what we are experiencing. So the higher you go, the level of disturbances is less. Usually it's always there. Cannot escape. Yes. 398.
It's really very different.
O great actor, my lord, all these poor creatures are constantly perplexed by hunger, thirst, cold, secretion, and bile, attacked by coughing winter,
blasting summer rains, and many other disturbing elements, and overwhelmed by strong, indefectible sex urges and indomitable anger, I take pity on them, very much grief for them. Yeah, so pure devotees are concerned for the living entity. Just like even all these verses that we are reading. How is it we are able to read all this? Because Vyasadeva saw there are three color. Yeah, they can see the past, present, and future. So he saw that the living entities in the future will be Manda, Sumanda, Matayo, Manda Bhagya. That's why he wrote all this for whose benefit. Wow. But still, you can see how people are so ignorant. Who wrote these things? Man made. All these are written by man. Still, that's why Ankara Vindudadva Kapta.
Many of the stories, Rama is nothing like it. Like we say, there's the Malachi people, pray to the Lord out, something out, the Lord took care of
I mean,
it.
even the Matsya, Matsya, he was praying to the Lord in the pond. So the Lord is always, the Lord, he won't come. But if the devotee asks, just like most recently, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was praying for the ray of Vishnu. Then he got Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Yes, not ordinary. Who are even Advaita Acharya? Because of Advaita Acharya, Hari Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. Yes. So why? Without the pure devotees asking, the Lord has no business. Because he wants to satisfy the desire of the pure devotee. Just like Nalakuvera Manideva, Narada Muni. They got no business. But because he want to please Narada Muni, that's why he helped the sons of Kuvera. So now we have Srila Prabhupada. Please him. Then yes, any more points, questions? Am I supposed to check this? Jai Gansraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai Guru.